This mutation is called Binary Choice, and it is being played on Malwarfare. We have two mutators active. We have Polarity, everybody's favorite mutator, and we have Void Reanimators, also everybody's favorite mutator. So, one of the reasons why I do like co-op is because you can come up with creative solutions to solving the problems in certain missions. So in this mutator set you have Void Reanimators that will be spawning around the map, and they're going to be resurrecting all the dead units around the map. And you also have Polarity, which in itself is a very annoying mutator. It means you need to have your armies combined and next to each other when you are engaging attack waves, because you end up losing a lot of units to Polarity. Now, having an Artanis ally is very useful for the passive ability that he has, so just being able to have that Guardian Shell ability makes life a lot easier. So as you can see over here, this is the creative solution to the Void Reanimator problem, as you will eventually realize what they're going to do. We have a probe bull and a on that Zergling over there. So one Zergling was lured away. And the reason why this is done is because this will cause a Void Reanimator to spawn, as you can see on the side. Now, the one thing on this map that I have noticed, but I never knew could be exploited, is the fact that the pathing around this terminal is kind of screwy. And I do not know why that is the case, but as you can see, this Void Reanimator now is getting actually blocked by a probe over there. And so this Void Reanimator basically wants to go and resurrect that Zergling, and Void Reanimators will spawn when enemy units die. So as soon as an enemy unit dies, a Void Reanimator will spawn and will be given a move command towards that unit. The other thing to note about the Void Reanimator mutator is that only 4 Void Reanimators can be present and alive on the map at a particular point in time. So given that, you will probably guess what the players are going to be trying to do in this situation. So that Void Reanimator is actually stuck over there, and yeah, it has been given that move command, but because this terminal is in the way, it is causing a few problems for the pathing AI. I do not know why that is the case. I do not know what makes this thing so special, but there's a second Void Reanimator, again, giving a move command to that single Zergling that was killed off by the probes there. So you can see they're trying, like, they're telling this probe, move out of the way, I want to go res stuff and make your life miserable, and the probe is like, no, you. Anyway, so now we have the first attack wave that has spawned. And again, Artanis is he's basically he spent a lot of his resources on getting these structures on this side. One thing to also note is if you are playing a Protoss commander, like in this case Alarak, put down the pylon for your ally, and it can it just saves your Artanis ally, you know, 100 minerals, which can be particularly useful. So notice what these players are doing now. They are luring these Zerglings on the other side of this little fence that they have created here. And the reason why is because if they end up killing some of these units and the units die off on here, there's a chance that another Void Reanimator will start spawning, go on down the side here, and just cause a lot of problems for the players. But just killing them on this side over here just means the Void Reanimators will be given the move command, as you can see over there. Players both ignoring the Void Reanimator, and now there are 3 Void Reanimators stuck there, and they are unable to get to the Zerglings there. So it just requires a little bit of attention, you know, just not killing stuff unnecessarily. And this is also why the players have not taken the expansion. They want, there's, you know, the Reanimator that's coming up over there. That is the only thing that could be coming up towards there without a paint marker. And that is the last Reanimator that can spawn on the map. So what they've done now is they've actually trapped these Reanimators on that side. And now we have a pylon coming down for Alarak. And Alarak will now start clearing that side, and these Reanimators are actually stuck. So there goes one of the mutators. You still have Polarity active, but dealing with just Polarity is so much nicer than dealing with a Polarity plus Void Reanimators, and that is what is done. So that's one way you can do it. I believe there is a video somewhere online of some Asian players that used Abathur's Vipers to cast Abduct on the Void Reanimators and then trap them in a section of, I think, evolution chambers or something. So there are a lot of creative ways to trap these Reanimators. The Abathur play will obviously be a little bit more tricky. It is a little bit more advanced because it requires a little bit more micro and some optimal positioning over there. Zergling causing a lot of problems, as you can see, for the players here, because yeah, there are no units for Artanis, and that is where the problem can arises here. But, you know, like I said, these Void Reanimators are now stuck, along with that probe, I think the phrase that was used is that the probe is running a little petting farm of void reanimators there, and he is their keeper. So he's feeding them and reading them bedtime stories. And yeah, there we go. Reanimators are stuck on here. No reanimators to deal with now, and now we just have Polarity on Malwarfare, which is a significantly easier mission. It's just significantly easier to deal with. So Polarity is still a problem, but we have now a solar bombardment coming down onto that onto the suppression tower. That'll go down. Alarak is going for a Slayer build. Alarak does kind of struggle on this mission purely because his ascendants are not very useful. They cannot deal with structures on this mission, which is the main objective. And these are the missions where Alarak will kind of struggle. He'll struggle on missions like Scythe of Aemon, Rifts to Core Hall, Dead of Night, Minor Evacuation, but that's for another reason. But you know, missions where you have objectives as units, like Void Thrashing, for example, a little bit easier for Alarak to deal with. So going for the Slayer build here is a good choice. Slayers do a lot of good damage. I tend to do the Ascendant build, but I add some Wrathwalkers in it. But yeah, both builds are fine. So let's have a look at the production here for both the players. We have the Reaver upgrades coming up for Artanis. Unit-wise, are those the Reaver upgrades?
Upgrade is ready.
Yeah, so we have Reaver upgrades coming up for Artanis, and unit-wise, he only has 3 Dragoons and 1 Zealot. So a lot of his economy has been put into building these structures on here and stalling the enemy attack wave. One of the other things as well that has happened is because Artanis cannot actually fast expand. You can't fast expand if you want to get these reanimators in position here. His economy has been pushed back a little bit as well as Alarak as well. So it does push your economy back by doing this little shenaniganry, but I think it's still very, very amusing to see the reanimators just stuck there. You know, if I had my way, I'd just look at these reanimators trying to path to a non-existent pathing location. But so we have a Death Fleet that's come down now with an Empower Me. Alarak is moving into position. They do want to do the bonus here, which is semi-interesting to deal with. We have a teleport now for Alarak, and Alarak will be able to clear up the side, but unfortunately the bonus objective goes down. There is another harass on here as well for Alarak. Unfortunately, there are a mix of units here in terms of polarity, but we do have a few of Artanis' units as well on here to help. This thing is getting harassed by a Hydralisk, which has actually slowed the thing down so it does not get wrecked by the enemy base, but this thing is getting closer now. And again, not enough units here for Artanis. Alarak is going to be pushing through. No Empower Me, unfortunately, either for Alarak. And their leftover units here will have to be cleaned up by Artanis. We have a Guardian Shield that's coming down to keep these units alive. Very, very useful, keeping Alarak Slayers alive. But Artanis needs a few more units to deal with the enemy base and the remaining defenders here. Alarak is getting dangerously low. Guardian Shell comes down. Alarak would have died there. He's a little bit further away from his army. I think the goal is to get Alarak killed off over here. I'm not really sure why that was the case, but there we go. One of the other things that also makes it a little bit easier for Alarak when he has an Artanis ally is this little power field, the project power field ability. Banelings are coming out here. The attack wave is actually Swarmy Zerg, which is probably one of the worst compositions to deal with, especially when Alarak is going for a Mass Slayer build here, which again, it really has good single target damage, but doesn't really have any kind of splash damage, and having Alarak is a little bit more useful and kind of important. So he ending up losing of that. Alarak is pushing his army back a little bit and weakening his overall power level. There's a focus down on that Dragoon. The Dragoon gets hit, actually gets smoked another Dragoon in the process as well. And now there's another attack wave here that is wreaking a lot of havoc here for Artanis, but seems to be okay. They are able to hold. As soon as Artanis is able to get a foothold in the game, he'll be fine. So we have an orbital, we have a solar bombardment here for Artanis that should take out the suppression tower. But yeah, as soon as Artanis gets a few units out, the Zealots with Whirlwind are really good. He won't have any problems dealing with the rest of these attack waves. It's just the initial, like, he has to clamor on and just get back into the game. unfortunately, he will be losing a lot of the units in the process because the banelings are not very fun to deal with. And now we have another one here. One pylon goes down. I think that pylon will be saved because the enemy units aggroed to the to Alarak's army. And yeah, unit-wise, like Artanis is kind of holding on, six zealots and 4 dragoons, but Alarak is also fine with 3 slayers here, and that's more than enough to deal with the attack waves and the suppression towers. I personally would like to see some ascendants being added into the mix here. Just adding a little bit more splash damage will help weaken the attack waves. But again, if Artanis is not able to help him, it doesn't really matter how much splash damage he has because he's not going to be able to clear the units out because of the Polarity Mutator. And that is why Polarity is one of the more annoying mutators to deal with. You cannot actually help your ally. You need your ally to also have an army and assist. As you can see over here, a lot of these units have the shield on there, which means it's just waiting for Artanis to take them out. And that's where the extra damage comes onto your army. You lose units just basically because you cannot kill stuff fast enough, or you can actually kill stuff at all, for that matter. You end up sitting around just getting hit by Amon's army, and you can't do anything about it.
Allied forces are under attack.
So Alarak is pushing through here with his Slayer army, and as you can see here, Artanis is starting to build up a Dragoon count now, which will be very useful. For Artanis, I'd like to see a few High Templars. You don't really need that many. 2 to 4 High Templars and then merge them into High Archons, and you have enough Storms to be able to deal with a large chunk of the attack waves. I'm not really much of a fan of the Reaver. I believe Reaver upgrades were obtained. We also have Immortal upgrades. So I think Artanis' initial plan was to go for Immortal Dragoons, maybe a few Reavers for the splash damage. I think what happened in the process is he ended up losing a lot of units to Polarity, and was not able to execute that plan out. We have 3 overcharges that have come down here, but I don't think these pylons are going to survive. Again, there is Polarity here, which is nice for Amon. Not particularly nice for the players here, but yeah, as you can see, Polarity has aggroed that one Mutalisk here, which is one of the more annoying things about Polarity as well. I really wish Blizzard would fix the targeting here. A lot of these units can be targeted by the Photon Overcharge, but because of the way Photon Overcharge works, it doesn't actually look at whether a unit is in Polarity. So you can end up wasting a lot of potential DPS, which is something else to also know if you're playing Alarak here. Alarak is not an easy commander to play against on this mission, first off, and then you're dealing with Polarity as well. So let's have a look at the Void Reanimators. They've still not gone to bed. Probe is still chilling here. He seems to be angry at them. Does not really want to read them any more bedtime stories, but the commanders are going to end up clearing up the suppression tower as well. Our transport is at about 7,000 HP, so that's good. And they've actually cleared out the side easily too. They are going for this next bonus objective here, and Artanis' Death Fleet comes down and ends up evaporating whatever enemy defenders are here, except for that one Ultralisk. So Artanis has Alarak has used a teleport here to teleport the army back to just be able to engage. The other thing to also note is when you're dealing with Swarmy Zerg, they do a lot of damage, and if they hit Orana's transport, her transport just basically melts. So map awareness is very important, so really good map awareness there for Alarak. Noticing that the attack wave has spawned and using that teleport to just get his army back into position so they do not deal a lot of damage to the transport. Because Swarmy Zerg attack waves are really nasty. They have a lot of burst damage, even though they're really squishy. They have a lot of damage that can come out, and if you're not paying attention, you end up losing the transport, and you just end up scratching your head, being like, what happened over there? This last suppression tower has spawned, and there will be an attack wave that will spawn with that tower. And we have a solar bombardment here, which is really good. It'll clear up whatever units are in Polarity for Alarak, and just Alarak can clean up whatever is left here. So very nice use of the abilities here for the players. And now there's another attack wave that's coming up towards Orana's transport. Emergency warping of a few zealots from Artanis, and Alarak is now also in position to end up cleaning up this attack wave as well. So relatively well handled on the players there, and as you can see over there, this Polarity is just such a pain. Polarity is one of my least favorite mutators to play against, and unfortunately, the last few weeks, Blizzard has been very, very happy to add Polarity to the mutator sets in the weekly mutations. I think we had 2, maybe 3 Polarity Mutators, it's not fun to deal with. You end up losing a lot of units, and yeah, one of the advantages of having an Artanis ally is that Guardian Shell. It just keeps your stuff alive. You can see over there.
Allied forces are under attack.
So both players now are going to start forward clearing this side. So this that was the last attack wave, and Uranus Transport is fine, and she'll start making her way towards the last security terminal. Both these players are going to start cleaning up this side. Now, one of the other things about this mission is, unfortunately, there's no way of knowing which pattern of suppression towers you're going to get. So you have to either clear both sides or clear one side really fast as soon as the suppression tower spawns. So the players have opted for the former, which is a more aggressive play, and you will already know that more aggressive play is very favorable in co-op. So we have a Guardian Shield coming down now, or a Shield Overcharge. I keep calling it Guardian Shield. A Shield Overcharge comes down on the army, keeps these units alive. That Hybrid Dominator, again, huge pain in the butt to deal with, but handled reasonably well by the players here. And now the side has been cleared, and now they have to clear that last side again. One suppression tower can't spawn on this side. Now personally, I tend to get this suppression tower a lot more often, so you'll usually see, if you ever watch me play, I'll tend to clear this side first. It might just be confirmation bias on my part, and it is actually, because there's a 50% chance of getting either pattern. There's nothing really special about the suppression tower, but the players have essentially cleared out this side, and we now have an attack wave here, and there are a bunch of slayers here for Alarak, and yeah, that suppression tower has spawned and cleaned up very quickly for Artanis. And we have an emergency warp in here, 3 slayers, unfortunately not enough to be able to deal with this attack wave. There are a lot of swarm horses on here, but Alarak is just cleaning up whatever's left of this enemy base. Unfortunately, again, this area is in Polarity, and enemy structures are also in Polarity, so you cannot really clear everything out by yourself. So I think they're going for the bonus objective here. I think that bonus objective is going to go down. They have no potential. Did Amon just ignore that? Apparently, Amon just ignored the bonus objective there, which is something odd. It's given an attack command to the Allied commander's army instead. They should be focusing down the bonus objective. And now there's another attack wave here, and we have a photon overcharge coming down for Alarak, and we have a few Dragoon Warpins here. Viper is not really much of a problem. They don't really do a lot of damage. But yeah, now we have another suppression tower here. We have some orbital strikes coming down for Artanis. Relatively good orbital strikes, if I have to say so myself. Artanis' orbital strikes are probably one of the worst call-downs in the game. But we now have a solar bombardment here. And yeah, all in all, relatively okay. Suppression tower now has gone down as well, and I believe that is the last suppression tower. There might be an attack wave on this side or an attack wave near the top. I don't know if that last attack wave has spawned. We'll see where that attack wave spawns. So yeah, it has spawned near the top there, and both Allied commanders now will engage that last attack wave. Attack wave gets cleaned up. As you can see here, Artanis has managed to power up his army, and he's generally okay there. So yeah, lots of Dragoons, a few Zealots as well with Whirlwind, and all is good. I have a bunch of Scourge over here. They're just wondering, like, what do I do? I don't have there are no air units for me to hit. I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna park myself on here. We have an overcharge there, and that is Uranus Transport guarded, and that is GG.